Coming up on ATV News, a ribbon-cutting ceremony marks the official opening of the newest building on campus. ASUSU elections are coming to an end. Find out which candidates made it to the finals. And a man survives an avalanche. See what device saved his life.
In sports, the Aggies men's basketball team is trying to pull off a winning season. Wait till you hear what the women are trying to do and what women's track has already done.
With all this fresh snow, I bet you contemplated hitting the slopes rather than the books. Coming up on ATV Weather, I'll have your cutting class forecast.
As the new AgScience building opened its doors to the public. Welcome to ATV News. I'm Kelsey Keller.
And I'm Britta Anderson. If you weren't able to find seating for the open house of the new Agricultural Science building, you're not alone.
Hundreds of people gathered inside the building to witness the event. Our very own Randall Henry takes you there.
It was standing room only at the open house for the new AgScience building. Hundreds of people crowded into the lobby to hear Stan Albrecht, Leonard Blackham, and Noel Cockett speak about the building and to see the ribbon-cutting ceremony. All three speakers stressed the importance of agriculture to not only Utah's community, but the world community as well.
Our college at least still has the emphasis on agriculture that a lot of places in Utah don't.
Attendees were allowed to wander the halls of the new building, taking in the sights that can be seen from the large windows found throughout the building, as well as looking at the various rooms and labs which will be available for student use. Stan Albrecht even voiced his opinion on which part of the building he liked best.
Oh gosh, you know, I love the science that will be done in this building, and so the laboratories, the classrooms, but when you walk up to the fifth floor and look out across the valley, the view is pretty spectacular.
The evening ended with ice cream and snacks. The unveiling of the new flavor of ice cream that will be served only at the cafe on the first floor was quite a draw for everyone there. Randall Henry, ATV News.
Faculty and staff will begin moving into the building on April 1st.
It's elections week here at USU. Primaries were held at the beginning of this week, and now we are down to a handful of candidates. The votes were cast during the week, then tallied and announced Tuesday night. Our two finalists for ASUSU president are Hannah Blackburn and Christian Thrapp.
I feel that I'm able to go in with that insight, to go in and really make that my emphasis, that students will be heard if I'm putting into office, because I understand how important they are.
We are doing everything that the students want, that we're putting everything that the students want in there, while doing our best to not waste money, essentially.
For Executive VP include Ben Wilson and Abigail Kingsford. Here are a few of the other election results, and to see all the results, visit vote.usu.edu. Voting is now closed, and your ASUSU officers for the 2012-2013 school year will be announced tonight at 6:30.
We have just received information that the Sports Academy and Racquet Club have made a controversial offer to try and get students to vote no on the ARC bill. We'll have all the details for you next week, right here on ATV News.
A former Utah State student was caught in an avalanche last week, but because he had proper equipment on hand, he made it out alive. I sat down with him to talk about his survival story. Tony's Grove up Logan Canyon is a popular destination for many snowmobilers. 27-year-old Reese Nybar rides there once or twice a week when the snow is good. But last week, Nybar had quite the scare when he found himself trapped in an avalanche. But because of fast thinking and proper equipment, he made it out alive.
I grabbed my rip cord on my avalanche bag, and that's this thing right here. So I reached up and pulled this with my, I guess it'd be with my right hand, and the bag blows up, but it should have been done a little bit earlier. The bag didn't get clear full by the time I got buried.
But the bag did make it to the surface, letting Nybar's friends know where he was buried so they could quickly start digging.
The snow was just heavy, and by the time I'd slid to a stop, it just the snow just was like concrete around my body. So A lot of people picture when you get in an avalanche that, you know, you're going to be in like a little cavern or, you know, waiting for people to come find you. Well, it's not the case.
Now, there are certain things you can do to avoid getting caught in an avalanche. First off, take an avalanche safety course. And second of all, make sure you always have emergency equipment on hand. And then it's always important to travel with at least one other person. And last of all, make sure you know the area that you'll be entering and be aware of the snow conditions at the time. Since Nybar had the proper equipment on hand, he was only stuck under the snow for around 1 minute.
But it was a long minute. Between the slide and that, it was, I mean, it was scary, really scary.
Nybar has no major injuries. He plans on hitting the mountain again soon and claims his friends were actually more traumatized than he was.
A 12-year-old girl is a champion in a sport usually dominated by boys.
And the Utah House passes the bill that requires public schools to teach abstinence only. Find out where it's headed next, right after this break.
Utah public schools may not be required to teach sex education in their classrooms anymore. The Utah House approved Bill 363, and it is now on its way to the state Senate for further approval. Ryan Humphreys has more.
Utah legislature passed a bill to allow schools to remove sex education from the curriculum. The House Bill 363 gives schools the option to remove sex ed from classrooms. The schools that decide to still teach sex education will no longer be allowed to teach students about contraceptives.
Because I think it's a parent's responsibility to teach the kids what they want them to know about sex education.
However, teachers could still respond to students' questions about the matter. The current law stops schools from teaching about contraceptive use and focuses on abstinence-only education.
I do think they should teach how to use contraceptives or about contraceptives, because you know, you can teach abstinence all you want, but seriously, kids are going to do what they want.
This change in policy has reactions from both sides of the bill.
I think sex education should be taught in public schools, but it kind of depends on what they're teaching.
No, I do not think sex education should be taught in schools.
There has always been different opinions about when the appropriate age to teach children about this topic.
I think a good age to have the talk is probably, well, I don't know, it's getting younger and younger these days.
I do think it's a parent's responsibility to teach sex education to their children, because I think they need to be taught on different levels.
If parents don't teach their kids and the schools don't teach their kids, then who knows where they're going to learn it. They're going to pick it up from their friends, they're going to learn it on the internet, and that just opens up a whole new can of worms.
Ryan Humphreys, ATV News.
The bill now goes to the state Senate, which is scheduled to go into recess March 8th.
A truck driver is still shaken up after his semi rolled over early Friday morning. The truck was traveling down South Willard, just off I-15, when it rolled. The truck was carrying gravel, so as you can see, the damage took several hours to clean up. However, the driver managed to escape with only a few cuts on his face and head. He was transported to Brigham City Hospital for evaluation.
It's leaking diesel fuel, so we'll have the hazmat teams come in and clean that up. They'll clean up the gravel. The UTEP teams will do an investigation on the truck, see what the factors were. Right now, we're still investigating it. Initial reports could be possibly speed could be a factor, but we're unsure right now.
You run like a girl. You wrestle like a girl. Those may sound like insults to you, but for 12-year-old Haley Cox, they're compliments.
I won Super State, which is high schools, and they come together and state champions and other kids wrestle. I was the only girl in my division, and I took first, and I was the only girl to ever do that. Utah Super State Tournament, 5th, 6th grade division, 75-pound champion.
Haley got into this sport about 4 years ago because of our wrestling background. Both of her brothers, Tanner and Cooper, have wrestled for years. And she, being at tournaments every weekend, was tired of sitting in the stands watching. And of course at home, they're always practicing on her, and she's helping them with moves. And so she said to her dad, I would really like to try this myself.
I didn't really expect it. I wanted to be able to compete with the boys, but I didn't really expect me to go this far.
She's technically superior to most of the boys that she wrestles. She's also very strong. She gets up at 5:30 in the morning, and she's at my private gym with all the other advanced boys. And she's lifting weights, she's doing powerlifting, she's doing all the things. And so it's not like she's just smart and fast. She's actually very strong for her size. That's 75 pounds. That is her body weight. She's squatting on a front squat, squatting her body weight.
When Haley steps out onto the match, it's about who this person is and how I'm going to win the match. It's not necessarily, oh, I'm wrestling a boy. She's viewed as a competitor when she's on the mat, not necessarily a girl.
Haley says she hopes to continue her wrestling career through high school, college, and one day the Olympics.
Now let's take a look outside and see what the weather's looking like. Is spring on its way? We'll find out in the weather report after this break.
Hey Aggies, I'm Courtney Robinson and I'm here with your ATV weather. What a storm we had yesterday. After the blizzard, it left us with the most snow we've seen in the valley for quite some time, and I bet many of you struggled with getting out of bed, much like myself. For now, we're looking at round 2 with more snow showers coming in today, so stay bundled up and be careful out on the roads. With all the sudden changes in temperature, we do have a storm warning in the valley as well throughout the state. So when you're commuting on I-15 and especially in the canyons where we've seen several accidents there due to storms, we will most likely see heavy snow and strong winds until Saturday. And for heading southbound this weekend, there are avalanche warnings. So for you skiers and boarders, be careful out there. Now, let's take a look at our nation's highs and lows. The South is experiencing some scorching temperatures as high as the 90s, and on the East Coast, they're getting as low as 10 degrees. So as you can see, this weather is pretty bizarre. And if you're wanting to escape this crazy climate, you should head down to South Texas and break out the swimsuits because it's 85 degrees there. Now, let's check out all the water vapor that's present throughout the country. As you can see here, most of the nation is experiencing some wet weather conditions, whether it be snow in the north or rain in the south. Here in Utah, it's completely covered with water vapor, and like most of the northern states, with temperatures rising and rapidly melting the snow, we will most likely be experiencing some flooding. So prepare your homes for that. Now, let's take a look at your 5-day forecast. Even though we're still seeing some snow today, spring temperatures are in sight. As the week continues to warm up, hang in there. Tonight, we'll get some snow, but not like yesterday's blizzard blast, and this evening we'll have a low of 22. For your weekend forecast, we will still see some snow showers on Friday and have our highest with the cold of 20. So if you're going out, be sure to dress warm, and if you're heading on the slopes on Saturday, we have a 20% chance of snow with a high of 41. Sunday, the sun will finally be out, and the temperatures are progressively getting warmer, and with a high of 44. And then finally on Monday, when you're headed to classes in the morning, it will be a fairly clear with a high of 52. So with spring break just around the corner, hopefully temperatures will continue to heat up. Otherwise, you might want to plan a last-minute vacation to the beaches. Have a great week, Aggies. Up next, we have your ATV Sports.
Hey Aggies, welcome to another edition of ATV Sports. There's a lot going on in Aggie Athletics and we've got all the highlights and news for you. First, let's start off with some men's basketball. Bailey McMurdy is outside in front of Old Main. Bailey, you were there last Saturday for the big game. Did things turn out better for the Aggies than in previous games?
Meredith, the guys actually did really well, but you know, Spectrum Magic was back, the Spectrum was full, but it was all because of one guy that there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
Aggie fans were out in full force for senior night last weekend, honoring forward Morgan Grimm from Riverton, Utah, and point guard Brock Keith Payne from Dallas, Texas. But the night was overshadowed by senior forward Brady Jardine coming onto the court on crutches due to his recent career-ending surgery on his foot. Jardine's career was unfortunately cut short during a transitional year for the Aggies, and there was not a dry eye in the house for him as he received his jersey. And because it was senior night, the boys obviously wanted to come out hard against the Idaho Vandals for Jardine. The Spectrum Magic was back, and the guys came out first struggling against the Vandals, but Grimm showed his presence in the paint with 6 points. It's not the highest he's ever had, but he helped the Aggies defensively in the second half. And there he is, Reed, of course, coming out ready to play, making some jump shots and showing his vertical. But here he goes, doing what he's known for, and he slammed down this one, making the crowd go wild. And Brock Keith Payne played like it was his last night in the Spectrum, making jumpers, three-pointers, and easily getting past those vicious Vandals. Look at him right here, three-pointer, like a foot behind the three-point line, sinking it. But the man of the night, always playing his heart out, was Preston Medlin. The kid was on fire the whole night, scoring an outrageous 32 points, maybe throwing down some of those baskets for Jardine. There are just too many shots to show you because he just kept sinking them. Coach Stu Morrill was proud of the guys' effort, encouraged on how they took the game back in the second half.
Brocky hit a couple threes, and that was important. And you know, we came out second half, and I thought I really defended well. And you know, defense is a lot easier when you're making shots.
It was the last half for the seniors in this gym, so we wanted to come out and play good for them. That was one thing Coach mentioned at halftime, and we knew that we need to come out with some energies, and that's what we did, and it was great.
The guys ended the game 67-50. They now go into the weekend, ending their regular season with 2 games away from home. Let's hope the guys can come out and do a little bit better than they have in the past. And stay tuned for next week when I have a personal interview with Brady Jardine.
All right, Bailey, we'll make sure to look for that. Thanks. Utah State's women's basketball is on the verge of breaking the record for wins in a season, and the girls picked up another one on Saturday. The Aggies were in the Spectrum taking on the Idaho Vandals, and junior guard Devin Christensen had a monster game. She had a game-high 26 points, making threes left and right. Look at her here as she lobs one in, and it goes in. I don't know what to do. The junior battled against the Idaho Bigs all night. Ashley Brown was great as always, picking up her 8th double-double of the season. The Aggies are looking to make this a historic season with their record now at 18-8. The girls are back in the Spectrum tonight against Hawaii, and on Saturday they honor seniors Ashley Brown, Brooke Jackson, Maddie Plunkett, and Renisha Mays. The Aggies women's track team came out big in Boise this weekend. And they pulled out second. The Utah State women's track team came out of the WAC Indoor Championships with a shiny new trophy. The girls scored 144 points for the win. Sophomore Chari Hawkins started the Aggies off right, picking up the pentathlon title. Then the Aggies cleaned house with senior Caitlin Heiner winning her specialty, the 400-meter. Heiner also ran the 4x4 relay race with Kylie Hershey. The girls finished in first place. The field events were led by senior Sonia Grabowska, who flew to a height of 3.8 meters to win the pole vault. Now the men's team, they picked up second, putting pressure on number 1 ranked Idaho all meet. Freshman Nick Bowens finished in second place in both the 60-meter and the 200-meter event to win the WAC Freshman of the Year award. Utah State head coach Greg Gensel also won his 8th Head Coach of the Year award after the meet. Those athletes who qualified will be back in Idaho for the NCAA championships later this month. The gymnastics team pulled off some last-second heroics on vault, scoring 5 career highs, but it wasn't enough to beat out BYU and Southern Utah University. The Aggies struggled to compete in Provo on the road for the first time in 4 meets. Senior Rebecca Holliday won beam and landed second place in the all-around. The Aggies struggled on bars, their most consistent event. Junior Amelia Montoya was a shining light in the Aggies' struggles. She landed 9.8 to tie for second. Holliday's 9.825 tied for first on beam, and it was her 3rd straight week of scoring 9.8 on the event. On floor, freshman Susie Miller scored just short of her career high, picking up a 9.825 to win the event. And on their final rotation, something clicked for the Aggies. Holliday and Miller both notched career highs, along with Amanda Wadamanuk and Sarah Landis and Caitlin Betts. The girls are back home Monday night. Utah State should have had 2 players showing off their skills in the NFL Combine this weekend, but Bobby Wagner was sidelined with pneumonia, leaving Robert Turbin as the lone Aggie. Turbo showed NFL scouts what USU fans already know he can do, highlighting his strength and speed. The USU star ran the 40-yard dash in 4.5 seconds, which is neither great nor terrible, but the real eye-opener, his 28 bench press reps was tied for most this year by a running back. He also landed in the top 10 amongst backs in both the vertical jump and the broad jump. Aggie fans have been talking about Turbin for years, and now NFL scouts are too. His Combine bio raves about the Aggie, saying he has, quote, the size to be a thumper inside, but moves more like a shifty, quick back. He has very quick feet that he plays to stop and start simultaneously in the backfield. It will be interesting to see where he lands come April. Well, that's it for ATV Sports. We'll be right back with more ATV news.
There's a new Miss American Indian in town tonight after the pageant held in the TSC Monday. Courtney Robinson was there to greet the newly crowned princess.
It was only a trio of contestants that competed for the title on Monday night. Although there was a talent competition, this was not your ordinary pageant. Representing their family's name and their heritage, contestants showcased something from their tribe, sang in their native tongue, and tried to impress judges by answering questions about their heritage.
We lost the aspect of our best kind of solely our pride and our culture is suffering for it.
You couldn't find your typical pageant parents here, but what you found was a room full of families supporting their daughters.
And I don't consider it as pageant. I consider it as leadership. I have been teaching my kids to be good role models for their generation.
Various campus clubs performed their own traditional dances to show support. The reigning Miss American Indian Princess passed down her title to the winner when the judges finished their work.
The title has changed.
The University of Utah's Miss American Indian Princess also gave advice for the upcoming royalty.
And also just to have fun with it.
This is a traditional Navajo weaving loom that the Native Americans use to weave. The Utah State University Native American Club that hosted the pageant on Monday night will also be celebrating many more events in celebration of Native American Indian Week. In Logan, Utah, Courtney Robinson, ATV News.
The USU Native American Student Council will hold their 39th annual powwow March 2nd and 3rd at 7 p.m. in the Nelson Fieldhouse.
If you're looking for a way to lose weight in a fun atmosphere, the Aggie Health Club has created a competition that can help you. Romina Nadakovich is standing by with more information. Romina, what can you tell us?
Yes, the Biggest Loser competition is still currently going on, and last week the event was Zumba. I went there to check it out.
Hip shaking, hands clapping, feet moving is helping students and non-students get into shape through USU's Biggest Loser competition. The Aggie Health Club created the competition for those who want to get in shape, and last Thursday, Zumba was the event.
What it entails is each year as a committee we put together an application and send it out to the community and students, really trying to get people involved. Really what we're looking for are people that maybe aren't as healthy, that are wanting to make changes in their lives.
40 to 50 applications were requested, but the club had to narrow it down to 15 contestants.
We like to keep it a little bit narrower or smaller of a group just so it can be a little bit more personable and so we can actually get to know everybody.
Mentors work with their contestants to help them reach their goals and then are involved in the event with them. The club tries to make its Biggest Loser resemble the popular NBC show.
Throughout the competition, every week we'll have an education session where we'll have some sort of doctor, dietitian, nutritionalist come in to talk about different healthy aspects of living, of losing weight, things like that.
What do you like about Zumba? Well, it's actually my first time doing it. Perfect. So it's like very different.
Now for me, being a tennis player here at Utah State University, Zumba is nothing like what I've done before. Even though I've been active for all my entire life, this is a completely different ballpark.
This is Africa.
Well, the winner of the competition, they will receive a free membership to Sports Academy, and they will also receive a free mountain bike.
Thanks, Romina. That looks like a lot of fun.
So do you guys have any fun plans for this weekend?
I go down to Salt Lake every weekend, and that's about it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not planning on, I'm just catching up on homework and stuff like that. I'm not planning on doing anything cool.
That's probably what I'll do too. Maybe I'll go snowboarding and get used to the new snow we got. But anyways, thanks for joining us, guys. I'm Kelsey Keller.
I'm Britta Anderson.
And I'm Meredith Kinney. Have a great week, Aggies.